sa toaster. Suta ko ba? I-balancing ko muna ako. Hindi pa ba? Oy, tuyat mo na. Apa? Bos, ya. Ya, kalay. Tidak. Wala. Kalay na sa malansang guys. Atot. Okay.
So you notice now, look, we just had a very recent inquiry from one of our subscribers. Said, are there any smaller tools, are there any power tools that we could get to make it easier for the Superman team? When you see how fast they work with basic tools, there's no power out here, and the suggestion was that maybe we could get battery operated, and they could be put on charge overnight, even if we only got a few, and it does make sense, if we got a few hours out of it during the day, it would make a huge difference. If you look at there, Ballantoy is labouring away with a handsaw and cutting pieces to size. I don't know how easily they would be able to transition to power tools. Now you can see Perry is in the red hat and the blue shirt. You can see now that he's got one of the carpenter's pouches that we bought. There's one. This man doesn't have a carpenter's pouch. He wasn't working with us when we gave that out. But if you look, he's got an oil can which he has strapped to his waist, and his hammer goes on there. He doesn't have one of our hammers either, which we've run out of giving the hammers away. Perry's got his American hammer, I think, there. And there's one that Ballantoy has, but if you look at the tool that Julio is using, oh, isn't that typical? He's just put it down. But you see, he's got one of the carpenter's pouches. If I'm not much mistaken, I think that that's one that came from New Zealand. I'm not sure. See, but the tools that they're most familiar with are hand tools, and they work incredibly well. They build that roof up in situ. They don't build that roof like they would in America or in Australia or anywhere else. They build it specially here, and pieces are handed up and they cut them and fit them, and they build a roof up there. That's how they do it. And you see the scaffolding that they use? They're just balancing on a piece of, what is it, I don't know, 2x4. And they'll do that, and they'll do the job, and they'll do it very familiar. Ballantoy is the young man in the Batman shirt.
Pas-pasitoy! Siba! Oh, siba!
Ay, may naipit. Naghangon na ito? Ano ba? Ay, kana. Oh. Alay ko ni. Ay, ito. Mabaw mo na may kasan dito na. Mabaw mo na dito. Uy. Oh. Pagkabot ako ba, yung mga nang doon, doon ba, design ba?
So now that's interesting there, look, the way that he's cutting that cladding. This cladding is made, it's made of bamboo, and it's made of bamboo strips, and then it's woven. If you look, it's just in a weave, crossing over, back and forth, but it's done to a certain pattern, and depending on the quality, they'll use a green piece, if you look there, and that gives a very nice looking pattern to it. So we try to go with the better quality Amakon, don't we, Bear?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
And this is slightly more expensive than the cheaper one, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we try to go with this because it does end up a prettier look. Now we are at some point talking about painting, but probably we may well give the paint and the equipment, a brush, roller, and give that to the owner, and perhaps hope that they will follow through and paint the house. That's the idea. But you see the way that they cut these pieces out. Here's a pair of tin snips. So that's it there. That's a pair of tin snips. And he's cut that piece out because he's fitting the piece around there. And as I said, that's Perry in the red hat. Perry is one heck of a worker. He is just non-stop. In fact, Beth and I call him the machine because he just works. I've seen him even when he's on a break and he'll be holding a piece of bread and still be working. An amazing man, amazing worker. Now you can see how that pattern with the green against the light color, how it makes a pattern really very nice. And then they go over it with this pattern here. So what we're looking at now is this piece, and this piece will be cleaned up. Either that or maybe this has already been cleaned perhaps, and they'll use that for that squaring off pattern there. Now basic tools are made up, and it's always interesting to see how basic they're able to do this job with. And that's just a piece of 4x4, an offcut of 4x4, and two pieces of a tree. I call those Fred Flintstone tools. And that will be used to tamp down the soil so that it's hardened down before they put that covering of cement down. And that's what they do there. Look, they can't stop work, and that cement has to be going off while they're working. So that has to be done. It can't be a last job. Although in some ways you might think that would be the way, but not when we're trying to get a job done like this and trying to get the house finished in 4 days. It has to be done in a slightly less than what you would think of as a logical way of doing it. And then they can't work on that, so they have to make up all of these easy easily put up and easily taken down scaffoldings, if you can call it that. So we don't carry huge reserves of tools and equipment. We don't carry easy to assemble scaffolding. We don't do any of that. That ladder there was made up to do the job. It's done the job, and now that material will be used for something else, which is what is happening right now. And probably it's going to make up a door of that. So a door will go in on this opening here. And all that seated area, I think, will be left open. So right almost about waist level of young Ballantoy there, he's actually sewing on what will be the top level of that striped, of that ribbing that they're putting in now, which will form the back of the seated area. And then I think the top will be left open. I wonder. Beth, will that top part be left open?
No, they're gonna
They'll be put horizontal. That'll be nice. One tool that I can see that would be used and used easily is because it approximates the same saw action as a hand saw, so it's easy to visualize how it can be used, and that would be a sawzall. Now, various different ways of describing that. Reciprocating saw, a sawzall, but it's one that actually does duplicate the same action as a handsaw, and I think that a good battery operated version of that would be good. The only thing is, and don't misinterpret what I'm saying, tools take a heck of a beating when they come out. It's just a fact of life. What I would count as a really nice piece of equipment, which was to be taken care of, you would find lying in the cement here. Things take on a very practical way of doing things. When I was here earlier, we were looking at day 3. That was this morning. I showed how a tape measure was left, and it was left with about 2 feet of the blade, the measuring blade, extended, and that's why tape measures do not last long. We always get quite a few tape measures sent to us in boxes. I give them out, and they last a certain amount of time, but it's not a great time, not a great amount of time. Okay. Now you can see that's Pastor Timio in a white shirt, and there's the favorite. That's the favorite digging tool. It's a piece of rebar, and it's spatula at one end and a spike at the other, and that's what they dig with. Now you see this is how punished tools get. There's a spade, and the spade is still in usable condition, but look at the handle. The handle's been replaced. Now look at the handle on that the man is using there, and you'll see that tools get beaten. They really do get beaten. When our friend from New Zealand, Kevin, came over, he brought some tools. He brought a lot of the bags there, the pouches, which we gave out to all the workers, and he also brought some other tools which we gave out, hammers, the pouches, which we've also had from others too. I think Roger from Bingala Travels also brought out, I think, at least 2 or maybe 3 of those pouches which we gave out, and you can see the difference. One is that black synthetic looking material, and the other one, which I think, let me see, who gave what? Maybe that leather looking one came from Roger, and the others came, I think, from Kevin. Well, he brought those out. I'll make a confession. Actually, I did get the permission and agreement of Kevin. He brought a beautiful hand plane, a Stanley hand plane, which is, if you're a carpenter and do joinery work and make furniture, a really good quality Stanley plane is a thing of beauty. And I said, would you mind if I keep this myself, because I don't want to go to one of the jobs and find it lying in the cement. And he said, I understand. He said, in fact, when I showed my son that I was bringing that Stanley plane out here, he actually did say to me, Dad, you know what's going to happen to those tools. And so, yeah, so he was quite happy for me to keep it, and I've kept it, and I think at some point or other I will put it up as a piece of artwork. Some tools are like artwork. So now Filipino ingenuity.
See, they're gonna finish it.
They're gonna finish. Filipino ingenuity. I would be thinking, if I was thinking of cutting those pieces of a macon, I would be thinking in terms of, say, a jigsaw or a circular power saw. I'd be thinking about that, or I'd be thinking about cutting, and they just have it down. They use those, look how they're using those tin snips. They're tin snips for metal. But they adapt perfectly to that job that he's doing now.
We need to finish this. So I need to help. Sige na, baro.
What's that?
You know?
Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Actually, what's happened is that the nut, the holding bolt has come loose. But give it to Julio and he'll manage it.
Let's go to 30 now. Maybe they're there waiting.
It's 2:30. So okay. All right. Well, this has been a walkthrough, and we're going down now to meet with the DSWD. Hopefully, and the mayor's sending a rep up here too. So we're going to go down there and meet with them and see what happens. Bring them up here to see our work. Okay, this is a foreigner in the Philippines, giving a last look back at the house for not quite the end of day 4.